Good afternoon, folks. How are we doing? I hope we're well. It is a rather sunny day here in southeastern England. Not as hot as it's going to be the next couple of days, though. It is going to hit the melting point for a non-practicing northerner like myself. Again, inevitably, it's completely different scale to America and places like that, but I think tomorrow and the rest of the week it's going to be something like 27 degrees Celsius or something, so unpleasantly warm, especially in a house designed to withstand colder temperatures than that. But no, I'm well, and I hope you are well as well. We've been not great at doing these for a little while, mostly because day job's been busy, and then combined with things like half term and stuff like that. So let's start with an intro, just for any new faces here. So hi, my name's DC Bradshaw. I guess I'm a variety streamer. That is a thing, isn't it? I stream regularly, or I try to stream regularly lunchtimes, Mondays and Wednesdays, where we do kind of geeky lunch chat and geeky lunch chat with games. I also do gaming streams. I'm also a tabletop RPG writer. I'm an education writer. I do all sorts of bits and pieces. I have a podcast. I have an interview show called Short Thoughts. I do all sorts of things. Jack of all trades may be appropriate. Whether you want to end that quote or not is entirely at your own discretion. But here we are. So yes, this is our, in theory, regular geeky lunch chat where I just, give some updates on what's going on in my life and talk about geeky pop culture and this, that, and the other. So where to begin? Well, I'll start off with kind of the reason why I wasn't streaming last week, which is one of these things that... so I wasn't streaming because I was at a conference for my day job, which is in education. I won't go into much more detail than that, but if you follow me in places, especially LinkedIn, you can probably figure out where I work. Yeah, so essentially I was at a conference, which was really good. I had, delivered part of a talk on the main stage, so it was excellent professionally. There's always that thing, though, and I think other people probably find it, those people who have not gone full-time creative, and I would love to. I would absolutely love to go full-time creative, but my mortgage does not allow for this. In that, it's always a kind of a balancing act, especially with things like social media, on which me I put forward, and it can get a little bit complicated. I mean, I generally try and be pretty open about the fact, that I have a day job in education and stuff like that. But it does get a little bit complicated, especially with things like, it would really help if I could actually see out my glasses, especially with things like LinkedIn. Because for those who don't use or know of LinkedIn, LinkedIn is in theory, it's sort of like a social media site for professionals. That sounds really seedy, doesn't it? Yeah, not quite meant like that. In theory, it's for like networking and stuff like that. But because I have two jobs, I have my 9 to 5 day job, and I also have my streaming, but my writing, my creative works as well, both of which are going through that channel to a degree. I mean, I had to make a decision kind of at some stage, can't remember when it was, what name I put on my LinkedIn profile. Dave Bradshaw, which is it's my name, both are my name, but it's what I use in my day-to-day life, so people at work would just know me as Dave, and obviously I publish and stream and stuff like that under DC Bradshaw, so I had to make a decision on which one I use, and when things don't really come into conflict, but I'm always very aware of the fact that I've kind of got sort of two different audiences when I'm posting stuff on there. So something to consider. But yes, that's why I was not here last week. So let's do an update on various bits and pieces. Somehow I have not done one of these streams since MCM, which now feels like a very, very long time ago. But I had a great time at MCM. I'm not going to retread old ground about my general thoughts on MCM, but I had a great time. I was there for 2 days, and kind of the two themes of it, firstly was Natural Six. Now, I will say, and I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. I wish that I were. But if you're not aware of Natural Six are a relatively up-and-coming D&D show. They've been going for a little over a year now. Very professionally done. 4 of the 6 of them are voice actors. But no, they're an absolute delight. And I'm really pleased to see how quickly they've gathered a following and how much they're throwing of themselves into what they're doing. You know, there will always be a limit to this, but they are incredibly welcoming, incredibly kind, they give an awful lot back to the community. And generally, I'd say for the most part, the community is very good at not crossing that parasocial line. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole topic in and of itself, but I've generally been very, very impressed. And there's a nice sort of balance there. The fact that they're still able to do meet and greets at MCM, not charge anything for the meet and greet, and you're able to go and meet them all, get stuff signed and stuff like that. And they spend an awful lot of time, you know, with everyone who's queued up there, and it's just wonderful. So I had a really good time there, and I'm really pleased from the meet and greet that I was able to get my player's handbook signed by them. My ever-expanding signed opening pages of my player's handbook has now got all of Natural 6 in it as well, which is pretty awesome. They had 2 shows there. I was very fortunate enough to see both of them. They had a live show, which was just hysterical. I'm really pleased that was recorded as well, and it's going to be available through their Patreon. They also did their incredibly unhinged show, which is Smash or Pass Without Trace, which is kind of exactly what it sounds like. It is pulling up on screen random monsters from the Monsters Manual and having a nuanced and still incredibly thirsty discussion on whether they would make a good partner or not. That's not the way they describe it. That is not the way they describe it. But no, incredibly entertaining. Very 18 plus, but just so damn funny. But no, so I had a wonderful time there. The second day of MCM for me, though, was a delight for another reason. And in that, it was the first time I was there with my family. My wife and my daughter came along. So my daughter is 5.5, going on 6 now. I mean, you know, closer to 6 than she is to 5. Good grief. And she they both had a really good time. In particular, my daughter had an absolutely wonderful time. She absolutely loved it. She was there in a dinosaur costume. Or specifically, it's I'm not going to put pictures up just because I don't put pictures of my kid online. But it's essentially it's like a pair of trousers with a dinosaur on the front of it, so it looks like she's riding a dinosaur. It's really, really freaking cute. And because of her shameless cuteness, and I am not afraid to say it, she swindled a lot of people out of stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, she swindled us out of stuff. We bought her more swag than we were intending to buy her there, but I'm aware of the fact that she got some free stuff along the way. Like, thank you, Erin, by the way. So Erin Angelini, who I popped by to see, my daughter was obsessed with a Dalek that she saw, and Erin very kindly gave her a piece of artwork of the 13th Doctor and a Dalek for free. I went to see Smash or Pass Without Trace. Came out, met up with my wife and daughter, and I was told that my daughter, just by being cute, had been given a Viking drinking horn for free. So thank you very much to... oh, good grief, I'm going to have to check the... One second. Let me credit... It was Horns of Odin. Horns of Odin was the brand that gave her a Viking drinking horn for free, which is just ridiculous. But thank you so much for that. I would like, if I think she is up for it. I think she wants to do more cosplay sort of stuff. So there will be more shenanigans at future events. But no, we all had a really, really good time. Really, really enjoyed that. So what else? Well, Treat Your Geek. Let's talk about Treat Your Geek. Treat Your Geek are just freaking awesome. Well, let's start off with the basic plug on this one. If you're not aware of Treat Your Geek, and I see Scruff is about, which is awesome. Proofy Lurk, and I'm guessing that's MASH on the Treat Your Geek account. But if you're not aware of Treat Your Geek are a multimedia extravaganza. Initially a magazine, now doing reviews, streaming, podcasting, role-playing shows, all kinds of wonderful stuff. Publishing as well. But they are absolutely wonderful and just going from strength to strength. And I'm really pleased to say that as of relatively recently, I am now a part of their official stream team on Twitch, which is absolutely awesome. As part of their big sort of rebrand / relaunch / re-something or other, re-chaos, I was part of their raid train on the 6th, which was absolutely wonderful. That incredibly unhinged and chaotic stream is available on YouTube and it's probably still available on Twitch as well, where we played What the Dub. It was the sort of chaos I expected, and I had an awful lot of fun with that one. Incredibly difficult to get clips from that aren't immensely offensive. But no, I had a really, really good time with that. Hey Blue, how you doing? Really appreciate your lurk here while we're proofing. Thank you for popping on. So yeah, I will be involved in Treat Your Geek stuff. I've already been on an episode of TYG Talks, which is their podcast. I was one of the writers and one of the editors on Adventure's Guide to Love, Life and Villainy, which is a romantasy short story collection. The Amazon link is in the chat. If you've not checked that out, please check that out. It's absolutely awesome. And I'm hoping to be involved in other stuff as well. I have a backlog of articles I've promised to MASH that I'm going to write, and I am absolutely going to do it. And the plan is that I will be running a little role-playing game campaign at some point, that I will do a Little But Fierce campaign for a bunch of people. So that, I'm really, really excited about all the exciting stuff that I'm going to be involved in as part of Treat Your Geek. So I am absolutely freaking loving that. And they are all just absolutely wonderful people. I cannot sing their praises enough. Because, yeah, they're just awesome. They're just awesome. What else? Well, little update on Little But Fierce, because I mentioned it briefly earlier. Little But Fierce Kickstarter planning is ploughing ahead. It's all seeming very, very real now. The plan is still to have the Kickstarter page go live on, or the Kickstarter landing page, rather, will go live on August 28th. Specifically, because it's about the right time. Also, it's my 40th birthday, so I will be shamelessly plugging it. So please, when that comes up, please sign up so that you get notified when the Kickstarter goes properly live and funding starts, which will probably be in March 26th. I say it's all become very, very real because I had to do something very grown up. I had to take out a small business loan, which is worryingly easy. But yeah, so I've done that. So I'm doing all the prep stuff that I need for the Kickstarter. Specifically, that is going to go towards all the mostly artwork related stuff that I need for making that landing page. I can't remember if I've announced it or not already, but let's pretend I haven't. If I haven't announced it already, the official artist for Little But Fierce will be returning artist Katerina Eusebio, who is just an absolute delight. I will try and type as fast as I can to bring up Katerina's website so I can pop it in the chat. But Katerina is absolutely brilliant. Katerina did the sole piece of artwork that's on the Little But Fierce starter edition, which is the barbarianified version of my daughter and my cat Leash, who is sadly no longer with us. But Katerina's going to be doing all the artwork for this, and she's already working away at a bunch of stuff. Specifically, the main thing that I'm really excited for is the full page cover and banner artwork that's going to be there for the hardback edition of Little But Fierce, involving 4 protagonist characters that you'll see pop up around the book. So I've seen so we've been doing a bit of back and forth on the design for those characters. We want to make sure we've got a really nice range of representation on that cover, and I'm really, really excited with how that's looking. So that's going to be absolutely great. Hey Nooks, thank you for joining. cheeky lurky turkey whilst proofing. We are proofing a lot today over in TYG Towers. But no, I really appreciate you popping by. You're absolutely awesome. What else with Little Bit Fierce? I've spoken to Alderdoodle. If you're not aware of Alderdoodle makes beautiful calligraphy and other stuff as well, in fact. But Mona is particularly good at the whole calligraphy thing. So I've been wanting for a long time to get a proper kind of DC Bradshaw logo, because the only kind of logo I've got really is Little But Fierce, and even that I'm updating. But I really, because I made the decision to publish under my own name rather than coming up with a company. I mean, legally speaking, I'm a sole trader, but rather than me being, I don't know, Curious Penguin Productions or something like that, I am DC Bradshaw. I want to have like a calligraphy logo that I can use to represent my name rather than just typing my name. So yeah, that's going to be done in July, which is really awesome. What else with the prep on that? I also had a meeting with a professional editor who I won't name just because contracts aren't signed yet. But they were an absolute delight. They have worked on some big stuff. So they come with really good cred on that one, and they are going to be not only editing Little But Fierce, but they're also going to be producing the official style guide, which will be useful for me and for them in terms of editing and future writing. But the absolute intention is that I'm going to publish that style guide on my website, so that if anyone wants to make Little But Fierce content of their own, they can do so knowing what the style is, rather than them making it up or trying to figure it out or doing it based off of, you know, D&D standards and stuff like that. So that's going to be put out there as well. So I am so excited about that. Now I just need to finish writing it. Just a small thing, just a small thing. I just need to finish doing the actual writing. But I've got a while for that one. But no, I'm really excited with how that's going, but it's becoming incredibly real. You know, we're halfway through June. I'm launching that landing page end of August. That is not a long way away, but I'm excited. I'm really excited for that. Swig a drink. So, couple more bits and pieces on this one. So I was thinking I mean, a lot of that is kind of me housekeeping updates. I'm aware I've kind of blethered for a while on that one. The one thing I was intrigued to talk about this one was, so for those who don't know, I am fortunately part of a regular D&D game. I wasn't for a very long time, just simply because of time commitments, particularly having a small person, and bedtimes and stuff like that. But I do have a regular D&D game. Which is very cool. It's a group of education people, and we play a game. We've actually played a few different mini campaigns, but we're currently in quite a longer term campaign, which is set in a kind of Arthurian Wales, which is really, really fun. Absolutely enjoying it. The accents are variable, but we're all having an awful lot of fun with that one. But we've also done some other one shots and stuff like that. And we play fortnightly. So every so often on the off weeks, we're like, oh, we're playing a game, we're going to do, so I'm going to do a one shot and stuff like that. And what we're going to do at some point soon is I've offered to run one of the Humblewood campaigns. Now, if you're not aware of Humblewood, I mean, it is so damn cute. Humblewood is an amazing setting with kind of anthropomorphic animals. It is beyond adorable. You may have seen that the signature piece of artwork that I think everyone would recognize from Humblewood beyond the main cover is there's a cute little owl wearing a suit of armor that is just beyond adorable. And I've got 2 Humblewood books, and I kickstarted a third one. And yeah, I've only ever run one shot of it. I've been wanting to have the opportunity to play it for a long time. But this is actually, I mean, I've games mastered a lot of stuff, mostly D&D, but I've games mastered a reasonable amount of stuff, and so I don't tend to get nerves about GMing stuff. But there is something that makes this one a little bit different from my perspective, and this might sound like a really weird thing to say, but this is going to be the first time that I am running a pre-written adventure. Specifically, this is the pre-written campaign, the one that comes in this source book. And I was kind of stunned thinking about this. Like, is this genuinely the first time I've done it? And I think the answer is yes. Well, certainly as an adult. I mean, I'm pretty sure. In fact, no, I know for certain that years and years ago, when my dad gave us the D&D Red Box, that my brother and I played that kind of out of the box. And that is a pre-written campaign, and there are probably other little bits and pieces along the way. But for the most part, in fact, almost exclusively, until this point, I play in either homebrew settings, or at the very least, if I've run a one-shot, it's been something that I've written myself. So I will take copious notes in the way I tend to do it, and it's taken me a long time to find that style. I was certainly guilty at the start of scripting way too much. And the problem is, the second you do that kind of meticulous scripting, you just end up railroading, and that's not good. So now I've found a nice balance of making sure I know what people are in certain locations, kind of bullet point out what they know. I might stick down the odd little bit of dialogue. If there's a particular phrase I want to make sure that they drop along the way, or if they have like a monologue or something like that along the way, I will make sure that's included in there. Yeah, basically I've been writing my own stuff and delivering my own stuff for a very long time. So this is the first time, first real time that I'm actually, I can be delivering something that someone else has written. So it's slightly odd in that sense, in that I need to make sure I kind of read it and digest it, and then sort of take notes based on that in terms of how I want to run it. And it's just a slightly different headspace of where to be in this, in that someone else has decided what direction this is, in theory, this is going, which is odd. And also, on the kind of note of railroading, it means that there is sort of a predefined place things need to end up. So I have less flexibility in terms of responding to bizarre things that people might do, because I know what the kind of end goal is for it. But it's a challenge. But I am looking forward to it. I think it could be an awful lot of fun, and Humblewood is generally just so cute. There's no getting around it. The whole vibe of it is just wonderful. I don't know what will happen when my regular group come into contact with it, though, because they are absolute agents of chaos. They really, really are. There is one particular member of the group who's a really, really nice guy, but he absolutely does the bizarre thing, the thing you don't expect to happen. For example, I ran two. Were they one shots? I mean, in theory, they should have been one shots, but one we only play for like 2.5 hours in an evening, and also we go off on tangents, and it's a big group as well, so you never know how everyone's going to play off against each other. But I did two hard-boiled adventures runs with them. One was the core hard-boiled adventures one shot that comes in the hard-boiled adventures book, which is set around a sort of a semi kind of casino heist style thing, and the other one is the one I've got available on my Ko-Fi, which is it's an adaptation of the Angel episode, Are You Now or Have You Ever Been, which is set in there's a malevolent spirit in the Hyperion Hotel. Both of these were a huge amount of fun, but this one particular member of our group in both of these did something absolutely bizarre, and actually worryingly similar. So we should kind of predict that he's going to do these sorts of things in future. As part of the aforementioned casino heist, there was kind of this plan that, look, people need to get into the back rooms somehow. We're going to need some sort of distraction. Well, what sort of distraction could we have at the blackjack tables? Well, maybe we can accuse someone of cheating, you know, cause a bit of a disruption there. Equally, we've teed up the band, you know, to do a big finale that'll draw some attention and stuff like that. So there were some notions of what might happen. Well, the group had come up with this stuff of how someone was going to cause enough of a distraction that they could sneak into the back rooms. And this one guy decided to pick up a halfling patron at the blackjack's table and throw him at the pit boss. So I'd established, like, this is this drow pit boss, you know, very professional, very kind of icy glare. Mash it bloody lover, I swear. You know, controlling the room with just a look. You know, but she's got like a rapier attached to her belt. Dinner jacket, very tailored. Ice queen, absolute ice queen of a pit boss who's wandering around, and this guy throws a halfling at her. Absolute chaos, and it is one of those that, as a GM, you kind of have to make that decision of. The players have to reap what they sow. Of course they have to. If there is no consequence to their bananas actions, or their saner actions, you lose an awful lot in the game. But it's one of those that, is this just going to absolutely lead into a full-on melee against every single security guard in the casino floor? Where is this going to go? They were able to sort of diffuse the situation, but it was chaos. It was absolute chaos. We had a great time, but it was ridiculous. The other example was from that Angel episode. So, for those who've not seen that episode of Angel, it's a really, really good episode of Angel. So I set the characters. So the characters start in their respective hotel rooms, and they hear a gunshot. And what the plot behind this is that this person has committed suicide. He was encouraged to commit suicide by this paranoia demon that has infested the hotel, and there was a history of people doing these horrible things. So they go and investigate and find this dead body. It looks like self-inflicted gunshot wound, but there's no signs or suggestion that he was feeling suicidal, and that kind of tips them off that something is amiss, something's afoot. So they're thinking about, well, what do we do? What do we do about this dead body? Do we just exit the room and pretend that no one had seen anything, and then that we were never here, and they do their investigation without people being tipped off? Or do we try and dispose of the body? What do we do there? What this guy chose to do was to fling the body of the dead dwarf, again, we're throwing short people, out of the window of the hotel and fall like kind of 4 floors down to the pavement. So what I was kind of expecting to be this paranoid mystery in the hotel, everyone's suspicious of everyone. Do we bring in the authorities? Do we not? That's the concern. If the police come, everyone's got secrets here. You don't want the cops here. There's now a dead body on the pavement outside the hotel, so there is now a ticking clock. Unquestionably, there's a ticking clock. It's now not a matter of, is someone going to pick up the phone and call the cops? It is, the cops are going to show up at some point, kind of relatively soon, because a body is lying on the pavement in front of a swanky hotel. And again, it just added this extra element of chaos to what was going on there. Both these games were a huge amount of fun, but I'm just incredibly aware that my recurring group of players are absolute agents of chaos. Not murder hobos, I would say. Let me caveat that. They're not murder hobos, but it is often difficult to predict what direction they're going to go with something. So we'll see what happens when we take them into the slightly cutesy world that is Humblewood. We shall see what happens, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And again, I've got that challenge in front of me of working with someone else's material. But I'm up for a challenge. It should be fun. And honestly, beyond the challenge of doing it, I think it is useful to review how other people write adventures, because as I start to produce, and my intention is to produce pre-made little but fierce adventures, I think it's really good for me to get used to the style of how people tend to write adventures and how much information you give the storyteller, the GM that's going to be running it. I think some people can go over the top, some people do not enough. So it is good to kind of take the temperature and see what the standard is, what people would tend to expect, what they wouldn't do, etc., etc. What else? What else? We're rattling through topics today, and I don't want to stop this early. So let's talk gaming a little bit. So I the other night, what evenings are blending? It wasn't last night. I want to say it was Saturday night, maybe Saturday night. I started streaming Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. I've played the first episode of it so far, so I've done the Phantom Menace. I'm enjoying it so far. There is a little bit of hesitation on this one. I'm not going to lie. There were two issues. There were two issues that that made it slightly unexpected, that stream. I recently played Lego Jurassic World, or I kind of think of it as Lego Jurassic Park, because I think the Jurassic World bit was one of the weaker parts of the game, to be honest. But I thoroughly enjoyed that, and in my mind, it kind of matched my experience of what I thought a Lego game was. I played Lego Lord of the Rings a long time ago, and I know I did play Lego Star Wars, the first compilation they released, which was just the prequels, and I think that was out on the Xbox 360, I want to say, Xbox 360. So I had a notion of what I thought a Lego game would be. And this wasn't that. They have made a decision, I don't know when they did it, relatively speaking, in the chronology of Lego games. But Lego Star Wars, the Star Wars Saga, is much, much more open world. So whereas in the Lego games I'm used to, there'll be like 5 missions, and while each one is pretty linear, there is plenty of stuff you can go back on a second or third or fourth playthrough of that mission, especially once you've unlocked all the characters, to unlock all the other, gadgets and gizmos and bricks and stuff like that that you can find about the place. Whereas for the new Lego Star Wars one, I say new, it's relatively new, it came out like last year, I think. There is a huge open world element. Like between each kind of what I would consider to be sort of a set piece level, there is generally some sort of open world area of some sort. Like when in Phantom Menace they get to Tatooine, there was a huge amount of Mos Espa that I could explore, and loads of characters I could talk to, and clearly side quests and unlockable stuff that I could do. Equally, when there's a couple of bits where you can fly to various planets, and I was kind of expecting those to be cutscenes. You actually had to do a bit of the flying yourself, and there's a map where you can choose where you fly to. So I'm kind of curious how that all ties in. What if I choose to fly to somewhere completely different? Does that jump me into a different episode, or can I just revisit previous locations? It's all a bit different, and that, I'm not going to lie, that caught me off guard a bit in terms of how that works. So I'm going to have to make a kind of conscious decision of how much of that I'm going to do on my first run through. Because I do want to try and stick to like an episode per stream, and then maybe, depending how we're doing, we might unlock some more stuff afterwards. But if I go and do like all the side quests, or even a significant number of the side quests in each one, I'm going to get through half, maybe a third of an episode with each stream, and it's just going to kind of go on and on and on. And you don't want to see me just randomly banging my head against walls during streams. I don't think. I mean, maybe you do. Who am I to judge? The other reason I had an interesting experience doing this stream is I had some tech issues. Now, it turns out that there were no tech issues. This is the thing that's slightly annoying with all of this. So my gaming setup for my PlayStation is, I don't think slightly odd, but it's there is no TV involved anywhere in it. So I have my PlayStation with a capture card going into my Mac. So if I'm gaming, I just have that as a source on OBS and I can play it. But I don't want to have OBS. I don't have to have OBS open if I'm just playing a game and not streaming. One, because it's just a bit of a faff. It's unnecessary faff. And secondly, there is always a small fear in the back of my head that I'm going to accidentally click start streaming when I'm not meaning to. Not that I'm doing anything terrible, but, you know, it's a fear. It's a fear. So I found another app that basically lets me treat the Elgato capture card as just a video source, and essentially I just play it through that, and it's fine. Yeah, so with one click, I'm playing on my PlayStation rather than loading up OBS and putting a preview on and stuff like that. The problem is, I did not realise I hadn't fully closed it after playing some Division the other day. So it was running in the background. What this meant was, when I started playing, when I started streaming, I started hearing all the audio twice. I heard it faintly, and then like half a second later, I would hear it quite loudly. Now, I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on this one. I've had this sort of issue before, and it's always been my own fault. And this was no exception, but generally it'll be a case of, oh, when setting up my stream, I accidentally didn't just open twitch.tv, I opened twitch.tv/DC Bradshaw, and then I'm actually got everything's circling back on itself, essentially. You know, every time I speak, 30 seconds later or however long later, it comes out of the streaming window I don't realize I've got open, and then it gets caught by the desktop and so on and so forth. So I thought maybe that's what I've done. I thought, well, no, I've not got anything open. I checked on my Windows. I even just closed down Chrome. So maybe I've got something open I didn't even realize. I just closed down Chrome. No, it's still happening. I then think, oh, what is this? Well, maybe there's something changed. Maybe there's something changed about... maybe there's been an update to OBS and I didn't realize, because historically, if you're on a Mac, you couldn't capture the raw audio. You had to use Black Hole or various other apps to actually take the audio that's coming out of your computer and then feed it back in as an audio source. And then you've got to mix in your audio as well, and it was really, really complicated, and they got rid of all that. You know, Macs, you can just capture it normally. So I was thinking, God, has some setting changed? Has OBS updated? Has my Mac updated? Has something changed? And I don't realize what it is. And then I started tinkering with settings. It's like, well, let's try closing this. Let's try closing that. Let's try... I was tinkering with the audio output to me. You know, what if I, why is it out of sync? Maybe if I change the sync on it, maybe if I put a delay on it, the two will appear at the same time and it's fine. And oh, actually, is this audio coming out to my listeners as well? So there's a moment which I've cut from the VOD where I'm there with my phone, with my stream on it, trying to listen to it and going, right, no. I'm talking on here and I'm waiting and it's not coming out of my phone. So it's just me hearing it, not the audience hearing it. And it's like, oh, good grief, what's going on? And it turns out the whole time I hadn't closed the app that I use for gaming without using OBS. So stuff was coming out of my PlayStation, and it was coming back at me through two sources, coming out through that app, and it was coming through OBS. And it took me an hour and a half to figure that out. An hour and a half. So I'm meant to be playing this game, and I am enjoying it. But every time there's a loud noise, or even a medium noise, I'm like, oh, what's going on? What have I forgotten? What have I messed up? Oh God, I'm going to spend ages trying to debug this. And I was trying to non-disruptively troubleshoot this while streaming, and I didn't want to cancel the stream. And it turns out the whole time I just had a second bloody app open, and I didn't realize, because I'm a moron. But there we go. At least it wasn't something catastrophic. At least it wasn't something broken. At least I'm not having to debug my entire streaming setup. But yeah, I'm an idiot. So there we go. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Okie doke. I think that's probably a reasonable place to wrap it up. I've been through the whole range of joy and excitement and planning ahead, and gone through fully to self-deprecation. So I think let's start to wrap it up there. So hope you have enjoyed this. Thank you so much for joining me, even if it's just been a cheeky lurk in the background there. If you have enjoyed this, please follow me on both Twitch and YouTube. I'm DC Bradshaw on both. I am an affiliate on Twitch, so I get small, tiny amounts of money from your watches and your ads and stuff like that. But I am working towards YouTube Partner. I've got the followers, I just need to up the watch hours. So if you could, please, it would be wonderful if you consider watching a bunch of my YouTube stuff. I know the amazing folks at Treat Your Geek who are lurking there in the background. I know you have my stuff on in the background during the day, even if you're not really listening to it. And I appreciate that beyond words. But thank you so much for that. If you are a new listener and you want to know, well, what sort of stuff have you got? Well, I'll give you a couple of places to start. I do have gaming streams. I've got stuff like this, so you can listen back to me discussing various topics. It's not all just life updates. It's, big dilemmas and ethical questions and, what do we think about, TV and movies and all this sorts of stuff. Like I said, I've got a bite-sized podcast called Short Thoughts. There are 18 episodes of that. Each one is less than 15 minutes, so it's perfect to listen to while you're getting on with something. I also recently, or relatively recently, did a charity read of the book Treasure Island. Over 4 nights, I read the entire of Treasure Island cover to cover. So if you want something on in the background while you're working or just chilling out, there you go. That's something you can listen to, which is, it's about 8 hours worth, 7-8 hours worth of content. So 2 birds with 1 stone. You get a piece of a free entertainment, and I get ever closer to YouTube Partner. So I would really appreciate that. Other bits of shameless plugging, if you'd like to follow me on social media, I'm at dcbradshaw.com on Blue Sky. I'm at dcbradshaw on Threads. I also have I should probably start pronouncing this correctly, Coffee. I don't know why I still pronounce it as Ko-Fi. I've got a coffee page here, coffee.com/dcbradshaw. So if you'd like to donate one-off or recurring, that would be really appreciated. It pays the subscriptions and stuff like that. So any profits I get from tabletop RPG sales, I can actually, buy stuff with or invest in other stuff. So please have a crack at that. That would be wonderful. Right, let's jump on a raid. I think let's see who's about. So we have Eminog and Sir Hannah. Well, Eminog has fewer viewers, so I think we're going to go over and raid Eminog. If you are watching in YouTube land, you're just going to get the end page, I'm afraid, so you don't get to follow over. But Eminog is an absolute delight, so we will trigger that raid in just a moment. No raid calls or anything like that. Just be lovely. Just be lovely. That's all I ask. Alrighty. Next stream is on Wednesday. I think we're going to be playing Shapes 2, which is a puzzle game that a few people have recommended to me. So tune in then and watch a load of stuff on YouTube, because you're wonderful people. I know you are. Alrighty. Have a lovely afternoon and a lovely rest of your day. Alrighty. Bye.